same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, this is 7 seas. I deal with life different, make that lemon squeeze. Ran off with my style and identity. Better bounce back and get the cheddar cheese. I guess that's why they envy me. On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going on track. Now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. I got his.
Happy Wednesday and happy Board TV. Yeah, the sentiment may be low. The vibes might not be vibing quite as much as they once were, but guess what? We're fucking here. We're tapped in. Yeah, you might have seen in the little intro. All I could think of is WTF, because that's kind of what I've been feeling recently. And that's not negative or positive. It's just kind of like that's where my mind is, if that makes any sense. And so, man, I'm tired. I'm a little bored. And I got a lot of thoughts on a lot of things. And so, Bryce, my guy, rocking the codependent. How are you, my friend?
Dude, I don't think I've taken this thing off since I've gotten it. Only very few times, but good week so far. Just doing some blast farming, trying to stay plugged in, be in the know. Yeah, that's about it.
I think that's the hardest thing right now, actually, to feel like. There was a time where I would sweat if I was like missing, a conversation or a post or a whatever, mint, etc. I don't feel that right now, to be honest. My draw to the space is not as intense as it once was. And that's not necessarily a negative thing. I'll be honest, there for a while, it was probably super unhealthy how much time I was spending, like glued into Web3. And now, like, I would say I have a zoomed out perspective, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm not in the fast lane. I'm kind of like, maybe I'm in the helicopter watching the race, right? Rather than in the cockpit of the freaking F1, race car. But Will apparently is going to go to New York City. So Will, my guy, what brought about this decision?
Yeah, it was just like a last minute thing. I don't know. We'll discuss it after the fact, I think is probably the more appropriate way to go about it. But yeah, we're excited. I'm going to head out tomorrow. Kind of screwing over work on Friday, but sorry.
You're replaceable.
Rest in peace, work. So what are your plans? How many days are you out there? When are you coming back?
Dude, I'm going to leave
tomorrow night, right?
Leaving tomorrow night,
okay.
And then I'll be coming back Sunday morning. So what is that, like 2 nights?
Yeah.
3 nights?
Friday, Saturday?
Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday. 3 nights.
Okay.
2 days.
And what's your obviously there's a lot of conversations and bumping elbows and all that things is definitely true, but what's your main focus going out there? Or just to have fun?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like just networking.
Yeah.
I think that'll be the main driver for the events I'm trying to hit up.
Right.
And then this is like totally side tangent, but we were already planning to run a half marathon this weekend. So part of the convincing my fiance to go was, hey, how about instead of running around our boring neighborhood for 13 miles, because we missed the sign up for the half marathon, we're going to go run it around Central Park. So it'll be a nice switch up. We'll do 2 jumbo laps of Central Park on Saturday.
Okay.
And yeah, that'll get us close to our 13.
Well, you have to tell us how it is. Obviously, we've seen a little bit of information and people kind of, touching down in New York City. And again, it's still, I would say my FOMO is not high at all, but I do wish I was there just for, like you said, the conversations like that. I still miss that, like sitting down, having coffee, whatever, going out to eat, like those things and rubbing elbows, like you said. It's always better in person. Like this is great, to talk to people online. And of course we do that a ton. But there's just something different about sitting in the same room, standing in the same room with somebody and having a conversation. So there's definitely a lot of pros to that. And so as we talk a little bit more about NFT NYC, man, this popped across my screen and I said, God, that looks eerily familiar. Looks so eerily familiar. and I saw Emmy down there getting funky with it, and I thought to myself, man, this almost looks like, or maybe it is,
almost like
Apefest #1 yacht party.
It's the exact same.
Yeah, I think it
AKA
is.
Magical Apefest. That one was by far.
I mean, that was just wild because it was our first, foray and like seeing what this shit was about and like getting on this boat, which was like sort of spare, to be honest with you. It didn't matter. Like, it didn't matter because you're just around so many people that you're like, this is fucking awesome. I remember by the time, maybe like an hour left, because there's no food. Remember, there's no fucking food, but you could just get hammered, drunk, and like everyone was doing that, both of those things. And so
people were looking for POAPs that were like spread around.
Dude, I even missed one. I knew there was a third, and I totally missed it.
And I remember, I think it was the second floor, going down there with like maybe an hour left, and it was just, dude, rancid because someone had like just vomited on the fucking carpet by the bar. I was like,
yikes,
we should have had hors d'oeuvres or something, my friends, because we've been on this damn boat just slamming brewskis and like there's no food here. But it was still like a hell of a time. And so I saw this, and it was actually, honestly, is somewhat nostalgic just because it took me back to, I mean, it hasn't been that long, but it has felt like forever. It took me back to the beginnings of really when vibes were just ripping faces off. And it had very little to do with floor price. It was just like everybody was just vibing, creating, exploring, having conversations, traveling to New York, standing in line for like, 7 hours. That's where we met the first time ever face to face, was randomly in line to get tickets for this event. So it's kind of full circle for sure. So again,
the funny thing too is I think I'm pretty sure our floor price now is probably higher than it was for that event.
100%.
And morale there was just
yeah. It's funny how you can kind of go full circle. And so again, when I talk about some of the things today, it is that zoomed out perspective. And what you just said, I think, is sort of interesting and maybe important as well. It's like, yeah, dude, we fucking went to $500,000. That was insane, completely insane. And to be frank, like, not sustainable, like not at least yet. Maybe I'm not saying this happens, by the way. I'm not saying it will happen, but I'm also not saying it won't happen. But there's no way that it should have just sustained after being alive for like what, a year and a half, 2 years, and then like we're just gonna sit at $500,000. Like, that's absurdity. And so obviously, when you're at that level, nobody's really thinking clearly, naturally, because most of us, like, that's a shit ton of fucking money. But we were also having fun. Those things are all true. And it was like, what's next? And so, we've talked a bit about this, and we went into a little bit last week as well. But like, what is next? Like what is the future? Obviously, we know the specific Apefest. We can talk a little bit more about that. It's got to be Europe. We could talk a little bit about merch, collabs, and the clubhouse. But like, how do you get, in your opinion, of course, this is just our opinion, no financial advice, how do you get just feelings and vibes back?
You got to get in the trenches. You got to be,
dude,
right? Like, they got to be slinging some degen shit around. What that looks
if
like,
you look at where the attention is right now, right? Like, every single project that has attention is like, playing to the current meta, the current vibes, right? I mean, like, the problem is like I don't know. I feel like it's very complacent to sit back and just think, oh, because BAYC is a community, like the community will just, naturally be able to just sustain whatever it is that we have going on, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I mean, in reality, like, I've just been doing a lot of thinking back of like, like what was it that I would like to see right now? And I think there's a lot of things where it's like, man, you like BAYC, like they're not stepping up to the plate right now. And the things that they've communicated that are coming in terms of the current meta will miss the mark.
Mm-hmm.
And so from that perspective, it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's tough to watch it unfold because it does kind of feel like the current trajectory is not a very bright one. And it's very easy to say that when the vibes are at their all-time lows, when the floor prices are in the freaking dumpster. Like, of course, but like at the same time, the market is speaking. And if there was demand, then it would not matter what fucking Blur farmer decided they didn't want to hold their bag anymore.
Mhm.
And so I just feel like from that point of view, like there's not that much supply that needs to be picked up, but we don't have demand at the current levels across all ETH NFTs. So everything's going to fall lower. Right. So from that point of view, I don't know. I would definitely like, the one thing that I'm like kind of hanging on is like in the Garga's post, he mentions that one thing with like crypto native mechanics or whatever. And I'm like, that better be it, because you know, like last time at the beginning of the cycle for NFTs, like we were getting dogs dropped on our heads, and like there was like a whole mysteriousness about BAYC where they literally did not communicate, and so you didn't know what was coming, and like there was excitement around that. There was, I mean, obviously speculation gets built up and whatever, but like in reality, like that's what a lot of people liked. That was kind of like the meta. People tried to copy that.
Mhm.
And so now that we have like new metas revealing, some of these other projects, you know, dropping coins and whatever, blah, 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 blah. I mean, there's different creative ways to like get your community, you know, put in the spotlight. And I don't know. We're just not in spotlight, and I don't see a spotlight coming imminently.
But
which I guess is just kind of a bummer.
But what is the meta would be my next question.
Dude, I mean, there's loads of different metas right now, but currently we are heavily in a farming meta.
Mhm.
Literally anything attached with points. You could kind of say, oh, well, they're in there with Magic Eden, but like that didn't pan out at all for apes. I mean, they had a chance to be like, yo, BAYC, like if you own these assets, you get a leg up because it's a collaboration between Magic Eden and Yuga Labs. You know, Yuga's going to be like, here, like for us to have this collaboration with you, Magic Eden, and make you our desired marketplace, we need our assets to be preferred. They need quote unquote special treatment in how these rewards flow, right? To make it like that would have been like something that, I mean, obviously it's not going to sustain and make like price just go through the moon, but like it's all about perspective. It's all about the vibes that are being sent out. And it's like currently when you look at the timeline, the vibes being sent out are just bleh.
Bleh.
But where's that coming from?
Everywhere, everybody that's just upset.
I think it's a smaller percentage, or like I think there's more people that aren't. I mean, they're like bummed, of course, because we all want to do some fun shit, like, right? Like we don't want to just sit around and do nothing and stare at a fucking picture of a monkey. Of course, that's true, but I think there's still more people that are like, yeah, maybe they're disappointed, but it's not. There's somewhere in between. Like it can't just be. Like, there's gray area, I guess, is my point. It's not just complete euphoria, and it's also not like the sky is ending or the world is ending, apes to zero. Because I see both of that. That's typically what I see is either one of those two things, and I would say I'm more in the middle. Like I'm kind of in a gray shade somewhere. And so, like, I guess my other thought or just question maybe, or something on my mind now is, I think what's hard, any project, you can take Bored Ape out of it. It could just be any project. Is I agree, like making sure that you're, you know, have a pulse on what's happening and then making decisions on what works for your business at the end of the day. Cause they all are businesses. Like no matter how we want to talk about it, like we're not investors, we're community members, collectors. That's just like where we are right now. But like, how do you decide when to try to like skate ahead of the puck and find like the next thing? You know what I mean? Like maybe find the next meta or make the next meta. And when do you decide, well, this is still the time to like hang out right here and you know, join in whatever's happening? Does that make any sense? Like, how do you go about gauging that?
You want to be a tastemaker in terms of like creating the meta.
Yeah.
That is like the preferred route, because if you kind of, you know, blaze a trail in one direction first, then it like opens the door for like everybody else to follow. And I mean, we saw this with Blur. blazed the trail for everything points. And so what happened after that? I mean, it was a handful of months later, and then suddenly you have everybody doing point systems to, drive engagement to their platforms. And the thing is, it's sounds stupid and people are like, oh, blah, 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 it's fake volume, whatever. But I mean, like at the end of the day, there's real capital behind the moves that these people are making to participate in XYZ thing, right? So like it definitely is working to some extent to drive value. Now, there's ones where it's like, do I want to speculate heavily on like the value of diamonds, for example? And like, it's an interesting concept that they're multi-chain. They've got the Solana bit covered, the Magic Eden bit covered. And you look at like Magic Eden as a whole, I mean, not the Magic Eden, the Ordinals bit covered. And you look at Magic Eden as a whole and you're like, cool, like I have some diamonds, but everybody else on these other chains also has some diamonds. So like maybe like if Magic Eden truly just crushes it for the Ordinals side of things, you could kind of be like, oh, diamonds, I could speculate a little bit that they are, like kind of like a play on the success of Ordinals. If Ordinals boomed, Magic Eden launching their token or Magic Eden Foundation, whatever, however you want to dress it up, them launching their token would do, numbers because, oh man, they're tapped into Ordinals. Like they're fucking getting so much volume. This is fantastic. Right. So then it's like, you could speculate in that regard, but then it's like, I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into it, but like, I've just got some other thoughts building up about Magic Eden in other departments where it's like, oof, I don't want to speculate on the value of a diamond based off of XYZ thing. You assess the product and you're like, it's not good. It's not, I don't know. Like currently trying to get diamonds like on ETH marketplace is not attractive to me because I would rather go get, Blast Gold or, Mintify XP or whatever.
Fair.
Or later this month, get Blur points on Blast.
Yeah.
It's coming
Fair.
up.
Again, not the only, I shouldn't say the only. One of the things though, when you talk about crypto native, etc. things, man, Yuga does have some fucking chads on the team. Like you look at OX Quit, for example. That dude's fucking legit. You look at James Hall, another like legit, like you're talking dev type roles. I feel like whatever that thing is, and again, I'm not going to try to guess. There's no fucking way I'd guess it right. Or if I did, it would just be, blind luck. But I think there is some hope there. Because at the end of the day, where did, Gordon and Garga, because those were, I mean, I know there was 4 founders, but they were the 2 fucking captains. They came here because of crypto native things. Like they didn't come here because they were trying to be Disney tomorrow, right? Like they didn't come here to do any of those things. Like crypto native, they appreciated the crypto side of things, I guess is my point.
There's a quote that I went and I pulled up from a post that Gordon put out. And he talks about, like some of the origins of BAYC and like, being a degenerate basically and aping into, shit coins and whatnot. And the thing is like, if you look at BAYC currently, they don't fit like the profile of aping into shit coins in my point of view currently.
I got a
feel
question.
like if you wanted to like, ride or die with like people aping into shit coins, like you probably got to put on the MOG glasses, pick up a milady, like that. I don't know. That so like just trying to like profile the NFT space a little bit. It's like, I still don't really have a good read on like Pudgies. Like, I don't know. Like
what is their community?
CT, like crypto Twitter native people. So like people that were more into trading coins, but like, to be honest, I don't really have like too many circles that I share with those people. So I don't really know, but like, I don't know. You always hear about like miladies and aping into shit coins. Those two kind of go together in my opinion. And then there's obviously some other breaks in there, but like, I don't know. It's just interesting. Like I would not necessarily say like those crypto native degen vibes are currently being reflected in the movements that the Yacht Club is taking.
I got a question and maybe a reason why. Potential. This is all speculation, by the way, of course. Do you think that SEC like probe and not having like regulatory certainty has maybe slowed some of? I'm not saying it's the reason for like mistakes. Those are not the words coming out of my mouth. Do you think maybe that has put, or maybe at least slowed down maybe some of the things they wanted to attempt to do or just try? Because I feel like there has to be some pressure there, specifically to them, because of how large they were at the time of that coming out. Like, there's no fucking way they could just like let it rip in that moment. Now, do I think that probably now it's a little bit cooler? Yeah, I think so. If I was just guessing, but do you think regulatory decisions, however that may lay, would clear up maybe what Bored Ape actually wants to do? And maybe some of that is they can't do it anymore because the regulatory comes down and they're like, you can't do XYZ. Okay, here's what we have to pivot. Do you think that's slowed or maybe put them in like first gear rather than like ripping down the road going 100 miles an hour, you know, with the fucking top down?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible, but I'm curious just to see, because like some of the mechanics though, like even in like LOTM, it's strange that you can issue NFTs, but you can't issue like coins or whatever. I don't know. They're like, why can't you just have like a trading feature built into that platform already? Is it dev work that's just taking too long? Like, I don't think there's like a regulatory thing there that's like, oh no, like if they give you ApeCoin for mist, like you can't give ApeCoin back. Like,
no, I think that's a good point. I'm just, again, I'm sitting here and I'm just thinking, because you're right. We're all right when we're thinking this. We all kind of, I think, are in step here. Is that they're not having as much fun. That's the way I'll put it. Right? They're not just having as much fun, and some of that is like degenerate stuff and taking chances and blazing the trail. And maybe you fuck up, but at least you're like going 100 miles an hour, and then you can pivot and do something different. And I go back to like I just wonder, and we'll probably never know this like for certain. Obviously, we don't work there. How much that like maybe just had them like take their foot off the gas slightly in certain directions. That doesn't mean that's why they made mistakes with some of their gaming things. That has nothing to do with that, in my opinion. That was just bad collabs and contracted work at the end of the day. That doesn't have to do with these fumbles with the Magic Eden rollout, which I would agree as well. And I'm not someone I'm basically not active at all. But even I know that it's not where it should have been when you push this, and there was like no reason, and there was no like big fucking hurrah, here's the fucking fireworks when it happened. That has nothing to do with this potential SEC. But I'm curious, you know, when they talk about crypto native things, I think we'd all love that. Like, let's fucking do some DeFi shit. Let's do some crypto native shit. Let's figure out, you know, how to just not give wealth per se, but give benefit to the club in other ways than sick Apefest, which we love, merch, which we've liked recently, collabs and NBA. Like, what else can we do, right? Like, what are some of these fun crypto things? And again, we're just speculating, kind of going around in circles, but it's just I think it's interesting that you say that it's kind of like holding, that's like one of the main things that's like, oh, that's kind of a carrot out there for us, because I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, I definitely want to see Yuga crush it.
Yeah,
right?
Of course. We all do.
Like, when I look at the space, I'm like, I would love for Yuga to be like the industry leader for Web3 gaming and the crossover with Web2 gaming, right? Like, like, to be honest though, they're not there. It's not like, it hasn't happened yet. It's not, you know, in place. Dookie Dash lined up to hopefully change that. LOTM full release hopefully lined up to change that. Right.
Yep.
And then you look over at like Azuki, and like Azuki's gonna fucking crush it between the collaboration between Web 2 anime and this transition to a Web 3 anime, and like experimenting with that. Are they gonna hit it right on the head right off the bat? Probably
Maybe
not. They might miss, right? Like, the reality is like, I'm sure people would absolutely love a full length anime.
Sure.
But we're only getting, what is it, like an anthology or whatever? Yeah. It's like 5 minutes. 5 minutes. it's not going to be enough, right?
No, it's not. People will be disappointed no matter how fucking amazing it is. And I'm sure it will be, by the way. People are going to bitch.
Right. So, I mean, like, mistakes will be made.
Sure.
And then they'll have to, you know, figure out where they go from there. But like, is their first attempt going to be dope? Yeah, it's probably going to be dope. Like Dookie Dash was dope right from the get.
Mm-hmm.
I think the main thing that we're running into currently is like, if I look at like my time that I have to devote to this space. Oh shit! Did I just rug myself?
No.
Okay. If we look at like time that is available to spend on crypto related things, it's minimal. It's very, you know, I'm grabbing time wherever I can get it. The reality is everything else that I was doing in the bear market when I had more time, pushed to the side. Like going in and doing LOTM runs is like the last thing on my list currently. And part of that is because the reward system got screwed up. It doesn't, I mean, like, you know, the whole kind of economy got screwed over. We don't have trait bids for quotas. So you can't even like have above floor bids for weapon quotas, which has totally nuked those markets. And so it's just like, there's a whole like thing building there where it's like, yeah, there's like, just like in my mind, a big negative cross above LOTM. Like,
when I feel like that's kind of
time currently, not so much.
What you just said about distributing your time, I feel like that's true of like the whole space right now, and like ETH NFTs, right? Like everybody's time, if they've got a full pie, like nobody's pie is on ETH NFTs. Everybody's focusing on, you know, the L2 plays or the shitcoin plays on Solana or what other
100%.
What
100%. And I feel like where I was trying to drive this point is, you know, they're going to release Dookie Dash. I don't think I will have time to play Dookie Dash.
Like, I hope every other
I don't
Web
have
2
hours in the day to play Dookie Dash. And so there is concerns there where it's like, you know, they might crush it. And it might just be like, this is a Web 2 play, you know, go crush it for getting some attention on the brand in general. Fantastic. But it's definitely not going to be leaning into, you know,
the Web3 DJs.
Getting the whole Web3 mindset focused on it, I don't think. And that's where I think we will see the biggest issues is like, if there is not attention driven towards XYZ, just making noise and like actually capturing the majority of the conversation instead of such apes are down again. Like that conversation is like a definite right now, right? Like a given. Okay, obviously, if someone's going to talk about apes, they're going to be talking about how down they are. They're not talking about how exciting XYZ is or how dope, you know, that experience was. And so it's one of those things where it's just like, until that narrative switches, like it's just going to there's going to be some struggles there. And so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
I think there's a time and place for everything. And I think some of this stuff, like we've seen before, will go awry and go down to zero. A lot of the shit that people are playing in right now will go to zero at some point. And so then where do they go? I'm not saying they go to ETH NFTs, by the way, because they're so fucking new and infancy themselves that shit, maybe there'll be something else, right? Like I'm not saying that shitcoins die and then, you know, they go to ETH NFTs, but it will have, like, there will be rotation of like where people do spend their time. It's not going to be, this is where we are forever. Just like when it goes to whatever the next thing is, it won't be that forever. And even if it's ETH NFTs, it's not like then forever we're just ripping on a million collections that are all just ripping. That's just not the reality. And so I think it is interesting. I think for sure Dookie Dash is a Web 2 play, getting it in a million pockets. I mean, that would be bullish for getting ape IP into the world. That's kind of their pudgy play, if you will, right? And not that, and I'm not saying that makes the floor price do anything, but that's their play of let's get the IP of apes out into the wilderness. And then potentially, and this is where I'll take a tweet that I posted about an hour ago about, and we talked about this. We've talked about this kind of ad nauseum a bit, but I would kill for more consistent lore and story building from all Yuga Labs projects. That should be something we lead in. Instead, we get really dope teasers with little follow through. Tell us the story. So like my hope maybe maybe it's complete opium, is that you start to get some of this traction over a month, however long, these different seasons of Dookie Dash. And then you also start dropping a little bit of story, a little bit of lore that those Web 2 people will see through Dookie Dash, but also we will get to experience as well as Web 3 participants. I'm interested to see the game mechanics of Dookie Dash. I think there will still be people that'll play naturally because whatever, you have some more time, you want to take a chance on getting a golden plunger, and maybe you luck box into a cool fucking collab prize that they have, right? Because you're talking over $1 million is in the prize pool for season 1. That's substantial. I don't give a shit how you slice it. Now, does the shittiest player on earth really have a great chance of getting anything substantial? No, they don't. But with the chance of getting that golden plunger and potentially getting, even if they get 50th in it and they get, well, here's 200 ApeCoin, that's still something. It's more than nothing. And so I'm curious to see what that looks like. We don't really know a whole lot of that. I would surely assume here, what they say, May, is that when it would start. So you're talking, I mean, we're in April now. So by the end of the month or the beginning of next month, we're off and ripping. And then we'll see what happens. Again, I'm not saying it's guaranteed home run. I do have hope that there will be a lot of people. I think surely they're smart enough. You saw this with the FaZe, whatever his name is, Sway. The dude's got a shit ton of followers. He's gonna be streaming it. Like, he's gonna be fucking streaming it, obviously, because he already did that when they was in Paris, right? Like he had a fucking post where he was at like a Kanye listening thing and he was playing it in the crowd, right? And I'm sure some of that was just for engagement, which is fine. But I think they're gonna have these partnerships with Orangey with these different Fortnite players that are going to go out and play it and stream it, et cetera. And we'll see what happens. And then hopefully, again, it's fun. Hopefully people like it. And there's, little prizes along the way that keep them coming back. And hopefully they make some money off it too, right? Hopefully it's fun enough where people want to spend some money in game. I want to point something out too. Serum City, they released, or Far Away with Serum City, released a little update where you could use a card directly in game. That to me was super bullish with Dookie Dash too, because I think you'll see that instantly with Dookie Dash. That's something that obviously they've been working on. And now with Dookie Dash right on day one, I think you have to have that. You have to have that capability for Normie, my high school senior that plays third base for me, to go in and be able to buy some boost or whatever with a credit card or Apple Pay or whatever it may be. So again, we'll see. Definitely interested on that. Legends of the Mara, boring. Is that what we're saying currently for the most part?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't have time to really like strategize and pay that much attention to it. I had some miss left over from last season, so I've just put all my shit on AutoCast and I check it every like 3 or 4 days.
Any more Catalyst in any boxes? Yikes, bro.
I've had one in like 6 or 7, I think now.
Tough.
Very tough.
So Bryce, I'm gonna throw this back to you. Lore and story building. Do we ever see that? Do we ever get more than just a one-off video once a year?
Man, I hope they listen to us and listen to the community that clearly wants some lore, and they actually start building that out. But who knows? I mean, the only thing I think we really can do is in the Q2 survey, tell them,
yeah, that's true.
Lore.
That is
Make
a good
series, damn it.
Make a series, damn it.
Great point. And on that note, gents, because I went searching for this, tell me how you felt when we got this bangerang. I mean, tell me how fucking hype this shit was.
She was so sick.
Like, just looking at it now, I'm still fucking like amped.
I played the intro so many times that my fiance was like ready to fucking wring my neck if I played it one more time, dude. Like,
I took it and like reposted it on TikTok. I was like, this is so sick. I mean, it's such a dope video.
I mean, dude, they could be ready to like launch a fucking full ass movie with this one, right? Like,
bro,
this was what, a year ago? A year and a half,
bro.
Over a year and a half ago. That's crazy.
Try to run, try to hide, break on through to the other side, break on through.
So sick. What the fuck happened?
That's the thing that was like, so my question, and this is obviously, we're none of us are animators, we don't make movies. What do you think the cost of something like that was? Or was that all done in-house?
No idea.
I have no idea.
No idea. Would love to know if that's something that we could whip up again and get going, or if that was just fully contracted.
That is an interesting question. Like, do they have those people that can do it in-house, or really do you have to just go back to that same whoever made it? But again, like, you're telling me something like that, short form, couple minutes long, every month or every other month you release a little more. You're telling me that shit wouldn't have people glued? Come on. And then you had activations within it, is where it's like you have a little bit more of the story, and then you have a little fun thing you can do on the other side, and they open it up again, and it's very specific to what you just learned about.
Bro, imagine it was a little short series, right? And then it went through and did, a whole little toilet scene or whatever. And so then that led to like the Dookie Dash game. And then for LOT, something else. I mean, there's a trillion ways that they could slice it and change shit up. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what path they're taking now, because, I think they've clearly switched up some things.
Yeah. This is what I figure. It's expensive as fuck to make. Like, I think that's true. And that's probably why we only saw a couple of them. But, man, I wish they would have found a way to do something there. Just because that's so good. Like, all of it's good. Every video they put out was good. Like, I even pulled up for another tweet the old fucking key in the butthole. That was a completely different style, but that was fucking cool too. And it was like, man, dude, like, that's what we need. Like, if you can have something like that, and again, maybe it's once a quarter even. It doesn't have to be all the time. But if we knew once a quarter you're getting more of the story, or every other month, whatever we decided, the cadence that makes sense. And then again, directly following it, like you said, there's an activation within something, within Legend of the Mar, within whatever, you get a little bit more storyline within the game that you're playing. Like, come on, dude. Like, that would have people like never wanting to leave because you're glued, right? So I'm curious to see what the play is for that, for sure. There's a lot of things here. Yeah, I think Garga's got it, but dude, you know what? I think my fucking thing should be, this is definitely an office joke, assistant to the director of vibes. Like, something there. There's got to be something there that I could I'll give them the vibes. I'll give them the vibe check. I feel like I'm pretty tapped into a wide variety of people, from Uber Bears to Uber Bulls and everywhere in between. And lots of times I just listen. I had somebody actually yesterday reach out to me with a bunch of DMs about things they were thinking, good, bad, and indifferent. And this is not somebody that I talk to a ton, but it's someone I respect in the space. And I just told him, I was like, dude, I'm always here. If you want to vent, or if you got a cool idea, whatever it may be, like, I'm freaking here. And so, dude, if you wants to bring me in any capacity to keep a vibe check, I can freaking do that. Like that, I'm an expert in that shit. That's what I got to do every day with students and freaking athletes. So, in all reality, Garga has got a massive fucking task. Like that, at the end of the day, like, if you don't realize that the amount of pressure that MFer is probably feeling on a daily basis, it's probably absurd. Do I want to say this? Interesting. What do you think the size of the other side team is that's working specifically and contracted by Yuga Labs?
I'm going to guess their internal team's about like 45 people or so. And then their external
team. If you read
team,
the message, then you would be able to nail it. Exactly.
But I thought that was a nice internal team though. Like, to be honest with you, like, that felt
45 people working on it.
Like, that feels good actually to me. And then external, of course. Like you're always going to have those external partners that have specific things that they're going to do and help you with. So I think that's fun. Apes come home. They're clearly building something huge. You know what? I love the vibes. Nico, come through. We fucking love the vibes. Tenacious agreed. Lore leading up to DD1 was also, again, all of that shit was cool. Keep us updated even if it's not good news delays. Agreed. Just shoot us straight in the fucking forehead, please. And then Jesus, what's up, my guy? Not that expensive in my opinion, to be honest. That is all digital, so super cheap in relative terms. Once all the assets are built, it's super easy to reiterate.
I like that answer. Hopefully it's cheap. Let's do it again. Run it back turbo.
Yeah. Nana, great guess, Bryce. But I think that feels good though. That feels like a nice, substantial team. And again, I just want to double down on Garga and the entire internal team. They got so much pressure. Like, of course they have pressure. If you don't think, man, here's the one thing I'll just stand on for fucking life. You can say they fucked up. You can say they've made missteps. I can vibe with that. I can hear you. If you say these MFers are lazy, get the fuck off my timeline because you got no fucking clue what you're talking about. They are not lazy. They're not trying to blow it. Like no one, like Jesus Christ. For anyone that's ever built anything or has any competitive bone in their body, I can promise you Garga's not sitting around and enjoying the timeline. I can promise you he's not enjoying most of the timeline. Now, is he focused on it at all times and all day? No. If he was, shit, he'd probably be like, I'm fucking resigning from CEO. These MFs are too much. But the reality is he cares so much. Gordon cares so much. These people care so much. People that work at Yuga care. We definitely need better comms. Please tell us when there's delays and don't beat around the bush. Just hit us right in the nuts. If it's something not great, just tell us. I would much prefer that than me guessing on why something's not done yet. But at the end of the day, they do need to be more fun. We do need more lore. I'm standing on that. You have to do more lore. If it's not video, that's fine too. If you want to do it in that, like, remember those comic like images they had with Blue? Those are fucking cool too.
Those are sick.
Right before
Legends of the North. Be careful though, because apes don't read.
That's true. They don't read. That is true.
Gotta draw a line somewhere.
What if you did some like lo-fi, kind of like the anime style? Not an anime, but you know what I'm saying, where it's like some animation, but it's mostly like static images. Like, what if you did something like that? That could be kind of like the Dookie Dash. Some of that stuff was sort of in that style. My point is, do it however you see fit. But for the love of all that is good, give us a storyline. You have these characters. You've shown us some little clips of this shit. Go build it out. If you create, which I think they can do, if you create a really awesome and engaging story, most of the talk that's happening disappears. It fucking disappears like this because now you've got people that are engaged and interested in what's happening next. So the star map, again, like there's all this shit that's like, can you please just tell us a little bit more? You know, like a little bit more.
I agree with this, Tenacious. Very much so.
I think there's some of that where there's some things they can do and some things maybe they can't do. And that's just like where we are at this point, right? So it's like, I guess I agree, but we also can't sit here and be like, well, we can't do anything. Like they got to figure out what they can do, right? Like figure out what that is and make it their own lane even. Like it doesn't have to be black or white. There's somewhere in between that's gray, and that's where they need to find their stride. You don't have to be straight like what everyone thinks is VC, which I feel like they definitely have leaned that way too much. But you also don't have to be just completely degenerate. There's somewhere in there that lean degenerate, but somewhere in there that can work. And I'm hoping that they find that stride. What else is on your mind? What else you got going? Thinking?
I'm ready for attention to shift back to ETH NFTs eventually.
Okay. I mean, I do have thoughts on that. I mean, we've kind of talked about it. If you look at it, like putting on like the farmer trader cap right now to be like, okay, well, what is the money doing? The money is 110% being deployed into different farms, right? You have people locking up money into like what was it, Athena? Putting in stable coins into their USDE or whatever. I forget.
Something. Yeah.
But you've got people throwing money into Athena. You got people throwing money into Eigenlayer. You got people throwing money into
Blast.
you know,
throwing
into
money
Blast.
into base.
Right. So money back into Solana, into all these different things, right? And so ordinals, right? So money has literally been sitting on ETH, and everything is just like sending it outward, right? And so, I mean, a lot of the, like, if I just look at like where my money is, it's on Blast and it's in Solana. And like, the weird thing is like, I have this weird sense of like, I don't want to bring it back. I don't see an immediate need for it in the ETH ecosystem. So I imagine there are, you know, a number of other traders, farmers, people participating with whatever the current meta is that are like, yo, I got my funds here and like, I'm going to leave them here. And like, until there's like some kind of warning shot that like, yo, get your ass back to Ethereum, like ASAP, like no more Zoom meet at the clubhouse. Like, until there's that call,
yeah,
I think a lot of the funds just stay away. There's other opportunities. Why would I have it, you know, flinging ETH NFTs around when there's so much downward pressure? People are wanting to get out of their NFTs to take their funds and put them in other places, which could be a great opportunity for people to come in and buy.
And that is happening with some people that like keep going. I have a thought. I'll double back.
So I think ultimately where we are going though is, I mean, it's April. Blur's launching something this month. I would not be surprised if all of the liquidity that everybody's shoved over into Blast suddenly gets unlocked for ETH NFTs again.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, like, okay, then like, you know, I'm not saying people are flooding back in, but like there's at least a more streamlined pathway using Blur on Blast that directly supports ETH NFTs, which could be interesting.
Could be interesting indeed. I do agree. One thing you touched on is entry points for people. And here's one specifically that I love to see. These are folks that have been doing custom shoes, hand painted for apes for like 2 years. It's this couple. I think they've got a younger kid too, but Fresh Kicks, they did the bag and all of these shoes. And so they've done a bunch for all kinds of different people. And they actually just picked up a mutant ape. So there is like silver linings. That's what I'll say, right? There's silver linings to this where you get some really cool people where, you know, to be fair, had it stayed, this is where April 1st they got, or this was their first Mutant Monday. I think they got a lot on the weekend potentially. Oh, there you go. March 29th.
March 29th. Heck yeah.
But had it stayed, you know, at an absurd price, do they ever get into the club? I don't know. Like maybe not. And so there's silver lining there. That doesn't mean that Yuga can do nothing forever and we all get bored to death, because then it won't matter who's here, to be fair. You know, one thing I'll say is this person that reached out to me, and I'm not going to say who it is because it's a private conversation, but they brought up my favorite saying. I say it a lot: pick up your shovel, right? Pick up the shovel, get to work. And I think they made an interesting point, a good point, I would say. I still stand by pick up your shovel, get to work, do something, you know, good for whatever, not just Yuga, whatever you enjoy doing. But the team also has to pick up the shovel. It can't just be us MFers, us janitors, you know, sweeping all the floors while they kind of just sit back and assume the community will do all of it. So when we
the
talk,
facility's got to be up and running to give us
100%,
you know, keep cleaning. And
so like, don't like, I like that people are building out storylines. There's a lot of people doing really cool things with building out storylines, comics, whatever it is, short, whatever. Yuga, I want you to do the main one. Like, I don't want that to be a community thing. No, thank you. Lore and all that story. That's like, I want that to be you. And then there can be these offshoots that are really cool too. Like you still need to give us the foundation and then we'll pick up our shovel. And so I thought it was an interesting point. Yuga, we still need you. Like we don't want this to be a community run project. That's not what we want at all. We want to do the dope shit we were doing. And that was hand in hand with community, not community in front, not Yuga in front. It was like hand in hand together. And so, yes, pick up the shovel for sure. But Yuga, you got to pick up your motherfucking shovels too.
Pick up your shovels.
So, as we wrap up the top of the hour, Any things you're looking at? Anything that you're buying? You said obviously Blast, Blur. That's kind of where your information or all of your not information, all of your energy is going currently.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. I would say exploring things on Blast is probably 110% of where the energy that Bryce and I have been spending recently has been at.
It
and
has
like
been
there's
a
a
lot.
bunch of stuff to dig through. Like, what were you gonna say?
Yeah. No, I said it's been a lot, to the point where it's like BAYC, they'll release some stuff. Didn't they release an article recently on something? Like I had zero desire
Blasted,
to read it.
you said?
What's up?
Did you say Blasted?
No, BAYC.
Oh, an article.
Didn't they release another
Yeah,
article
they
recently
did on the 3D avatars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just haven't read it yet.
That feels like that's gonna be soon. Thank Christ, because we need Bailey, Rita. I say her name wrong every time. We need them MFers spinning up even more dope content with these avatars, like all over the fucking timeline. I've been pretty bored when it comes to that. I've just been trying to figure out ways to potentially support, things to do, and also like let my thoughts be known on the timeline, not in a negative sense, but just let my thoughts be known. Because what I've realized is this is not, I don't think highly of myself at all. If you know me on a personal level, these two guys do. If you know me on a personal level, I actually have pretty negative thoughts about myself. But what I've realized is that the things I say can carry some weight and can make people also feel comfortable to then maybe say something, maybe ask me a question, whatever it is. And so if I can do that for other people, fuck, I'll do it. That's fine. Mine's never going to be out of hate. Mine's never going to be in a super negative tone. That's not how I roll. I'm someone that wants to have a solution to it or a reason to do it. And I'm here for that. And so just know there are those of us, and I know these two as well, when it comes to, we want to talk about Magic Eden and the shit that we don't like. I can promise you these two MFers have given tons of feedback. I know that for a 100% fact. When it comes to avatars and asking and prodding, I can promise you 100% this MFer right here wearing the blue hoodie has been in the DMs of multiple Yuga employees just saying like, hey, we're ready for this stuff. Not for me, for all these people that are going to create dope stuff as soon as they get it. Like, just know there's a lot of us in the community that really care. Now there's all these people, like we've got freaking group DMs that are trying to cultivate information and doing it in a positive manner, because that's what's important. If we just are negative, this Nancy's the whole fucking time, Karen's, nothing gets done. The positivity, the information is going to be there, and then it's up to them to deliver. At the end of the day, they still got to fucking deliver. We'll give them the feedback, we'll give them the pros and the cons, and then, hey, pick up your damn shovel. That's what I got. My last rant of the fucking evening. Will, enjoy your time in New York. Please report back next week with all your findings. Make sure that you make it back, obviously. Make sure you don't forget to board the plane back too.
That I don't, lose my job.
Yeah. We'll just scrub this video after this is over, so we don't have Will saying I kind of fucked my job on Friday. And then we'll just we'll pretend this never happened. But have fun farming the garden, have fun running that race in Central Park, and have fun bumping elbows, as is always the best of these inner life events, for sure.
For sure.
Hopefully we'll be linking up at Apefest soon.
Yeah, Apefest where? Got to be Europe. Guess we'll soon find out.
Amsterdam,
with that,
I feel like it's gonna be there.
It's got to be. Has to be.
That's the tingling in my balls right there. Is
the tingling in the balls say Europe, maybe Amsterdam. So with that, we appreciate you for being here. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Twitch. If you like to follow us on X, Instagram, all those places, you will find us. Hey, if you want to come on the show, let us know. If you got a question, if you got a comment, if you got feedback, hit us in the DMs. We will be happy to pass it along. With that, this is Phil. This is Bryce. This is Will. We are out. Stay bored.
That money clip us now, the new now looks like. Whoa, upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like. Whoa, I hit record a drop, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and planes, I'm always boarding. Just out touring down in Charlotte like I play for Hornets. When I'm performing, never boring, now you can't afford it. Champagne Perrier, Finnish friends on my face, looking like I'm from the deep.